Hey, what's up, everybody, and welcome to the Get Your Bell Rung Football Podcast. He is Kevin Reynolds. I am Bobby Wall, and we are here to talk all things football and hit you with some takes that might rattle you up a bit. On tonight's show, we will continue looking into some of our favorite draft strategies and take a peek into the NFC North. Kevin, last week we talked about how I have no idea what to do during the intro music. You told me to do the I don't know what to do with my hands thing, and
Ricky
I did
Bobby.
it. But there was no reaction out of you, nothing.
No, I looked and
You
smiled,
left me hanging.
but I'm
You,
sitting
you
here trying to take care of the intro
that was a
music. I don't have
smile.
time for your Talladega Nights impersonation. I
Your
appreciated it, but what do you want from me?
your smile looks like a
It may
scowl.
not be the last time we visit Will Ferrell tonight.
Oh, that's I don't know how to feel about that. I do love myself some Will Ferrell though, so we'll see how this
I
goes.
think that you'll get it when you get it.
That's, that's okay. All right, we'll roll with it. Now you knew from last week that we were doing draft strategies. I don't know if you put any thought into it. My favorite part of last week was that obviously you didn't know we were going to talk about it because you don't look at the show notes, but you did say I don't have any draft strategies. And then you rattled off about four of your draft strategies
Right.
that you use. But I have one, and it's make your own rankings. And I know that I do it way earlier than you. I do mine in June normally, mostly because I have nothing better to do with my time, but also because once I make them, it's easy to just move a guy here, move a guy there. Um, but for me, I don't understand why people buy these magazines and they subscribe to these websites and all that stuff, which is great because they put out some good content. But for rankings, I don't want to have a fantasy football team that somebody else tells me is going to be good. I want my own guys. I want to know. I want to do a little research, and I want to have the guys that I want on my team, not the guys that somebody else wants.
Okay, but I mean, typically rankings all sort of match up to a certain point. It's not like you had Devontae Adams at your 73rd receiver. I many years I don't even make an actual rankings. It's all up here, baby. I don't need to be staring at any Excel sheets or paperwork while I'm drafting. I got things to take care of while I'm drafting. I don't have sheets to stare at. It's too fluid to even care about that stuff. Now, what I will do is I'll write down a few guys that I really want to target. The rest is all just flutter. It's gonna be tough for me. Like I set up my league this weekend. It took many hours, and I got no money to spend. And there's so many rookies I really want to sign. But then you sign on long-term contracts, and then I get screwed when none of them do anything, and I have to pay salary cap penalties for the next 5 years. It's just a freaking nightmare. It's almost as though because I'm too so invested in this all now that you know too much, and it just blows your freaking mind, and then it makes me nervous to even have a freaking draft. But I have to my league of record, of course, I'm the commissioner, so I have two screens up. I got so much going on because I have to run it, be in it. It's madness.
Well,
Um,
Kevin, I'm not a huge fan of giving you too much praise, but I will say this: that you actually, not just in fantasy football, but you're one of the smartest humans that I've come to know. So I can understand why you don't make your own rankings. You have it all up here because I can bear witness to the fact that there's a lot that fits up in that bulbous head of yours.
it is
So
big. I
it's
appreciate that, and I
impressive.
do actually have a very large head. It's hard for me to find shirts that'll fit over it. It's hard to find hats that fit it. Unfortunately, my daughter has this same affliction, but I fully appreciate the backhanded compliment. Thank you.
Oh man, absolutely. And then another draft strategy I have is to make sure you pay attention to how the draft is proceeding. So, and not just with the positional value. So, if you're drafting 10th in the first round and you want a running back, but 9 running backs have gone, well, you got the number one wide receiver waiting for you. But also, especially if you're picking towards the beginning or the end of a round, you want to make sure that you know what the other teams between your two picks have. So, for instance, if I'm sitting in the fifth round and I'm thinking, man, I could use a quarterback or I could use a tight end or something like that. And I look, what I want to do is I want to check out, if let's say I'm picking 10th, I want to see who's picking 11th and 12th. Because if they already have a tight end, if they already have a quarterback, chances are they're not going to take another one. So I can pass on that position now. I can take my running back or my wide receiver right then, and then pick up my, whatever position I needed that those other guys already have on the way back. I don't have to jump that pick. You know what I'm saying? Give myself a little more positional value, a little more value with the round I'm picking, all that stuff. So that's just another, and that's a small strategy, but one that could pay dividends where, that running back or that wide receiver I took rather than the quarterback or tight end I didn't need to take because they weren't going to go, that can pay off big for you in the end.
It can. That's a very valuable in a standard draft. On that same note, in like my auction draft, a big thing is keeping note, although the draft tab does it for you, how much money your other people have, your teammates or league mates have to spend. I'll sometimes yoke the price up on some player just because I know that this guy in my division does not have, he might, even if he has money, I know he's not going to spend that much on a player because he's just done. He's just going to sit there the rest of the draft and wait for a bunch of $2 no names. So it's very important keeping track of dollars and the gamesmanship in my league, because we've all been doing this for so long. I mean, guys will just, they know who in the league is going to keep being a homer, keep spending, and we'll just raise it up with no intention of actually winning the player. Every once in a while, you get the screws put to you on that. But more times than not, a guy ends up going for 51 that would have only gone for 41. And now you just cost somebody else $10, which is huge in a league, or my particular league it is.
I mean, you got to think if you're going into a draft and your auction draft and your total is what, 200, 250, that's normally average, I think.
250 is ours.
Right. You screw someone out of $20, man. And we're talking 10%.
It's massive.
Right?
That's massive.
Exactly, for sure. And for a guy you don't even want anyway. Now, again, you said sometimes you get the screws put to you. That's dangerous. But again, like we talked about last week, know your league.
Know your league. You know who you can do it to and know who you can't. The problem I have in my league, and many of our league mates would attest to this if we ever had them on here, when I start bidding on a player and they know that it's real, the price shoots through the freaking roof. Because they figure if I'm bidding high on this person, then I must feel really good about them. And it's very difficult at times for me to get players because unlike a redraft league or a snake league, whatever we want to call it, a standard league, everybody has access to these players. I can't just say, I want Sky Moore. Sky Moore might bid up to $45 because I'm bidding on him.
Same thing. So you actually were a part of this. I don't know if you were part of the first round or the second round of this, but there were 3 guys that I was in 2 separate leagues with. You were also in one of my leagues that they were in. And I was in a draft and I started taking guys and they were like, what? Do you think this guy and this guy? I don't understand. A few days later, a week later, I had the second draft with them. And each of those guys that questioned my picks started taking those picks around before I took them in the previous draft. So it's basically the same thing as your auction where they bid you up, but they were taking my picks in the next draft because we were in 2 leagues together. And boy, I was hot. Don't question my picks one week and the next week in the same draft start taking my guys.
It's the price we pay for being geniuses and devilishly handsome.
Well, nothing I can do about that.
So,
all right, so before we get started in this NFC North, I do want to say if you're watching a video, I don't have the normal Get Your Bell Rung football podcast background. I am doing this show on site at another local brewery to me in Greenville, North Carolina, technically Winterville, at Naughty Dog Brewery. It's a great spot. I know last time I was at Local Oak Brewery. This place, just like Local Oak, has an outdoor spot. I was actually here with my girlfriend and my son, running around outside, playing, digging in the dirt, making a big old mess. Dogs are here and families and all stuff. It's a great spot. So again, Greenville, Eastern North Carolina, swing by. Naughty Dog is a fantastic spot. And it's like 80 yards from the other place. Yeah, you just walk back and forth.
You can go there, drink a beer, and dig in the dirt.
Yeah. Hey, when you're 4 years old, that's it.
With the crap you say.
My family's from Southern West Virginia.
We're here at this bar digging in the dirt. Honest. What the hell? Who says that?
We get it honest, man. We get it honest. All right, sir. Let's get this thing going. Chicago Bears, they are plus 15,000, which is not good. They were 6-11 last year, third in the NFC North. They were 27th offense, 22nd defense, 30th in passing yards. Now, luckily for them, they have a new head coach, Matt Eberflus. He's coming in after 4 years as the Colts defensive coordinator. His offensive coordinator, Luke Getsy, was Green Bay's quarterbacks coach. That's got to feel good if you're a Chicago fan. Some big losses. They traded away Khalil Mack, and they lost. Quote, they lost Allen Robinson. He really wasn't even there last year, even though he was on the team. They did add Jaquan Brisker and Kyler Gordon, two good defensive backs in the draft. Their offensive line right now is ranked 31st. Not great. So 6 wins again this year.
No way.
Is that high? It feels high, right?
These guys are
high.
battling for 30 for the number one overall pick. And then on top of it all, who likely is your best player on your entire team comes out this morning and demands a trade.
Roquan Smith, linebacker.
So it's just, I guess the only thing you could say with these guys, they've got nowhere to go but up, because this is one pathetic squad.
Well, technically, they're going to, if they won 6 games last year and they only won 4, they're going to go down this year. But after this year, there's only one way to go, and that's up.
There you go.
It's interesting because moving on to the next team, the Detroit Lions, they had the same odds to win the Super Bowl, plus 15,000. They were 3-13-1 last year, last in the division. But I feel great about them. I feel great about the direction they're headed. They're 25th in offense, 31st in defense. Obviously not good. But I don't know that they lost anyone of significance that I could think of. They added DJ Chark, wide receiver. They added Jamison Williams, who some people, granted he's hurt, some people had him as the best receiver in the draft. And they got Aiden Hutchinson, who was the best player in the draft. They have the 3rd-ranked PFF offensive line. They were also surprisingly 10th in pace of play last year, which I feel like in your mind, you're like, man, they're running the ball. They run the ball, run. They were 10th at pace of play. That's quick. They have an awesome head coach. I love Dan Campbell. And I don't know if you saw any clips from Hard Knocks, but their assistant head coach and running backs coach, Deuce Staley, and Aaron Glenn, their defensive coordinator. Man, I saw some clips. They get after each other in practice, like head to head, talking trash. Both sides, why the players are playing. It is that atmosphere. As a former football player, I would love to play in that atmosphere. What they're building.
This is a football team, baby. You know what I love best about their off season? No BS, no chirping, no anybody whining about anything.
Zero.
I think that whole team's on board with Campbell. He has some of the best one-liners around. I look at their lineup, top to bottom. I don't see any reason why they can't compete in this division. I'm not going to sit here and say they're going to win it. If they do, though, it's not going to surprise me. I'm not expecting it, but it's not going to surprise you with all the other turmoil in that division. This is a real freaking team now, dude. They've got playmakers. They've got on offense and defense. They got great coaching. More and more, I like them more and more. And would it be anything better for the NFL than the Lions to be relevant again?
Oh, man. I'm a fan of a different team in the NFC. If the Lions make the playoffs, I will be more excited than if my Eagles make the playoffs. I don't know what that says. Awesome. I don't know what that says about me as an Eagles fan. But, dude, they've been so bad for so long.
Yep, I would love it. It's a whole change of atmosphere there. But this is the year he's going to have to show – they're going to have to show it on the field. But they were competitive in so many games. Hell, last year they lost to the Ravens simply because freaking Justin Tucker set an all-time record 66-yard field goal that doinked off the crossbar and flew up in. You know, little things like that. They were competitive in so many games.
So one of my best friends, I talked about him actually last week on the show, Dan Coons, the guy who did the no running back before no running back was popular. Me and a couple other guys were in a group text. We texted him. We were like, dude, you guys are going to beat the Ravens. This is crazy. And there was like 40 seconds left. And he texted, he goes, not a chance. I'm a Lions fan. Don't get excited yet. Trust me. And we're like, are you kidding me? This is unreal. Like, I can't believe this is happening. He goes, Don't get excited. Trust me. And sure enough, 66-yard NFL record field goal.
Dude.
Oh, I felt so bad for him.
Oh, I was sitting in the living room. I literally I'm up. It was like when the Braves won the World Series back in '91. Or actually not the World Series, or when they beat the Giants for when Sid Bream slid him. I mean, I'm up just screaming, jumping, practically hitting the ceiling. I was just so freaking pumped. I had to scream out at one point, "You got to be blank kidding me!" I mean, it was everything about it. It was just glorious. 66 freaking yards. And I guess you just saw he's the highest paid kicker in the league now. What, 4-year, 24 mil?
Probably best kicker of all time.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on.
Green Bay Packers, they are 4th best odds at winning the Super Bowl, which blows my mind at plus 1,000. They were 13-4 last year, obviously first in their division. They're the 10th best offense and the 13th best defense. They had right now, as long as everyone's healthy, PFF says they have the 5th best offensive line, but they got some injury issues there. So we'll see how this pans out, how the beginning of the year works. 2 big-time losses, Devontae Adams and Zadarius Smith on the defensive side of the ball. They did go sort of all in on receivers. They didn't take one in the first round when they could have, but they did take Christian Watson
Our boy.
in the second round. I know. Sammy Watkins, they signed. Romeo Doubs, they drafted. And they took Quay Walker, who was their first-round pick. Much like the Cowboys we talked about last week, this team is going to ride or die with their quarterback, Aaron Rodgers. If this is it, man, this is his test. He swears he's the reason they win games. Well, we're going to find out for sure because he lost his boy Devontae. And honestly, because of that, I struggle to see how they dominate the NFC again without him. They're out of division.
Dude, he's been around forever. They're like the Packers are like the Steelers of the NFC. These receivers leave, and the next guy steps up, and all of a sudden, this guy's a household name. It just happens time after time. I think I said last week, Aaron Rodgers, I'm going to trust him until he proves to me he can't be trusted. The dude's a freak. This is not, I mean, yeah, maybe they'll struggle a little early, but imagine if Christian Watson could just do 75% of what he did in college. Sweet Lord, he'll be the biggest weapon in the NFL.
But listen to these out of division games. At the Bucks, probably a loss. At the Bills, probably a loss. Versus the Cowboys, at the Eagles, versus the Rams. Those are 5 games that aren't going to be tough. They only lost 4 games total last year. That's going to be tough.
We'll see what happens. All those teams have their own challenges and changes. I don't know. I mean, I'm not going to say it's a great thing to lose Devontae Adams. I'm not saying that, but the dude always finds a way to win. He's been a winner his entire career. He hasn't racked up Super Bowls, so people knock him for that. But the dude's a beast, and I until he proves otherwise, it's hard to not trust in the guy.
I'll take it. Vikings, they were plus 4,000 this year to win a title. They were 8-9 last year, second in the division to Green Bay, 14th in offense, 24th in defense. They tied the NFL record for most one-score games this last year.
Yeah.
And 7 of their 8 losses were by 1 score. Think about that. If the ball bounces a different way a couple times, we could be thinking about the Vikings in a completely different way.
This is like Russ. Let Kirk cook. I can't wait to watch this freaking offense throw up 41 points a game. I can't freaking wait. Everything you read out of camp is this fast-paced thing where even Kirk is like, "Oh, I've been waiting for this my whole career." I can't wait to freaking watch it. It's going to be, even if they lose games, they're still going to score 40.
Well, they didn't really lose anyone. Anthony Barr, linebacker, but they added Jordan Hicks, who's a tackling machine. And we just talked about the Packers lost to Zadarius Smith. Well, guess where that dude went?
Yep.
Minnesota, buddy. And they drafted Andrew Booth, who's I think is going to be a solid cornerback. They needed help on defense, and they made a conscious effort to get it done. They were 24th. Well,
dude, they got our boy, too, Lewis Seen.
You're absolutely 100%.
On top of it all, he might be the best of all the ones they got there. This is a contender, dude. This is a team, the classic, nobody wants to play them in January.
And probably the biggest thing for them. Now, obviously, it's tough to learn a new scheme and this and that, blah, blah, blah. But, dude, they got Mike Zimmer out. And I love Mike Zimmer. I love him best as a defensive coordinator. But as a head coach, it's a little iffy.
Yeah, it's not 1977 anymore.
Right. They got Kevin O'Connell in. He was the offensive coordinator for the Rams under Sean McVay. And we all know that anyone who has ever even made eye contact with Sean McVay, they get a coaching job somewhere doing something. But the offenses are pretty good. And
Hey, hold
his
that thought
offensive,
real quick. How
sure.
do you think your former partner feels about that? Because after all, Sean McVay's the worst coach of all time. How do you think he
Right.
felt last year when the Rams Super Bowl? Do you think he gave him even 1% of credit, or they won in spite of him?
I don't know. He probably wasn't happy about it.
I
Um,
was, although I actually
well,
wanted the Bengals to win.
so did I.
If only he would have seen Ramsey fall down. I love
Is this
bringing
going to
that
be
up.
another one of those things that you bring up once
Uh,
a week?
it would have been the Bengals Super Bowl. And I went out there
And
listening to Matt Stafford and his 0 accolades and 1 Pro Bowl. Didn't even win the Super Bowl MVP. I got to listen to this crap about how he's going in the freaking Hall of Fame first ballot. He doesn't belong on the 100th ballot.
back to the Vikings.
Frustrating.
Offensive coordinator Wes Phillips, he's coming with him from LA, and the new defensive coordinator Ed Donatel. He's been running defenses forever, including Denver's defense last year. That was the 3rd best scoring defense on planet Earth. So one thing I'm struggling with understanding here is that you are so excited about the Lions and they can win the division. You can't see anyone really taking down Aaron Rodgers and the Packers, but watch out for the Vikings.
I
So
know.
who you picking here?
Would I pick to win the division?
Yeah.
If I had to pick one, I'd still pick the Packers. But watch out for these other teams. Doesn't mean I think they're terrible. Like any of them are terrible. They could all have double-digit wins. I don't think Detroit will, but I'm just saying if they did, it wouldn't surprise me. But I expect Minnesota and Green Bay both to make the playoffs.
That's fair. All right, quarterback, sir. Chicago Bears, Justin Fields. He started 10 games last year. And I'm telling you, man, fantasy football Twitter is on fire for Fields. Like if people are like, I'm not taking a quarterback, I'll just wait. I'll take Justin Fields late. I am not doing that. I understand his legs are enticing, and you can take that comment how you wish. But he didn't look good while
Okay.
playing football. I watched him on TV. He didn't look good. He's on his 2nd system in 2 years. He has almost no weapons. Chicago, they're probably going to have to lean on the run. I don't see how they can lean on the pass. His QBR was 26. He was 44th in points per game, 0.04 points ahead of Mr. Andy Dalton, the other Chicago Bears quarterback. His receivers as a whole, their target separation was ranked 9th. He still only completed 59% of his passes. Rushing is a key for quarterbacks. I get it. Fields rushed for over 40 yards 4 times, but he's not good yet. Maybe he will be. I don't know. Arguably the worst weapons in. All right. Would you rather have the Bears weapons or the Bucks weapons? I'm sorry. The Bears weapons or the Texans weapons? Obviously.
Like,
Yeah. Well, I got a little alliteration problem there.
Sweet
I was
Lord,
just
the Bucks.
throwing bees out there. The Bears weapons or the Texans weapons? Doesn't matter. You thought about it. And
Bears. I'd take
that's
the
all I need.
Bears. I'd take the
But
Bears.
the fact that you had to think about it that's it. That's all I need.
Yeah, but they have Montgomery and Mooney. They're better than anybody on Houston, so I'd take them.
Would you take Cooks or Mooney?
Mooney. I think Mooney will be a target monster this year.
You're insane.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Not
Means
a
lot
chance.
coming from you.
I take Cooks 100 times out of 100 over Mooney. It's not even close. Cooks he's a wide receiver too.
Okay.
Mooney is what, maybe a wide receiver 3?
Okay, you do you, buddy.
Oh, gosh.
You
I've never been so mad at you in my life, and I don't even care about Cooks or Mooney.
That makes you mad?
No, not at all.
Okay, let's move on for Justin Fields because he's really not worth talking about. He's going 17th in quarterbacks, 121st overall. If somebody takes him there, congratulations. Well done. Thank you.
So let's move on to someone that's going even lower than him, Jared Goff. Dude, he's not fantasy relevant outside of 2 QB or super flex leagues, and I'd rather not have him even then. He does have 2 years of over 4,600 passing yards and a year of 30 plus touchdowns.
Yeah.
But last year's 27th in yards per attempt. He's 32nd in red zone accuracy. It's just,
Oh, how the mighty have fallen. That's all you can really say about him. He's a serviceable starter now. That's about it.
He was second in clean pocket completion percentage, and they have the third ranked offensive line now. So that's actually saying something, because if they can keep him clean, then that's going to go to your whole watch out for the Lions deal.
They got some weapons.
Yes, he can get it to them for sure. And they're not afraid to air it out. He had 8 games of 35 or more pass attempts in a game.
Dude, so look at his weapons. Swift, St. Brown, Chark, Jameson Williams, and Hawkinson. That's a freaking star-studded squad.
I know.
That's some serious freaking playmakers there. There's not a weak link in there.
It's better than he ever had for the Rams.
Yeah, and you got Josh Reynolds, Khalif Raymond backing people up. Man, this is a team. Justin Jackson's there now.
He played with Josh Reynolds in LA.
Because Jamal Williams will be the backup. But, man, they've got some players. If he can't do well with this, then he's not going to do well with anybody. This is the make or break season for him.
He certainly has better weapons than Aaron Rodgers, but Rodgers may not need them. And honestly, he's sort of like Patrick Mahomes, right? We don't have a whole lot to say. He was QB5 last year, 37 touchdowns and 4 interceptions, almost 70% completion percentage. Over the last 4 seasons, he's had 136 passing touchdowns, 15 interceptions.
Yeah.
That is insane. That is, I can't, it's hard to comprehend 136 touchdowns and 15 picks.
He doesn't make bad decisions. That's why if you're not where you're supposed to be on a route, you don't play for 7 weeks.
And he's
knows where you're going to be, and he's so accurate that the guy's he's Aaron Rodgers. What can you say?
He's QB 10 right now. All of that back-to-back NFL MVPs.
Now, I see here, but 10,
QB
11, yeah.
Okay. All right. And honestly, I have him at QB 11.
But every year he exceeds actually every freaking year. Every year. And somebody gets him in my league for some middle of the road price, and he ends up in the top 3 or 4 scoring.
So what are we all doing? So what are we doing? So why don't I have him higher? Why don't you have him higher?
I don't know. It's just because when you look at the other names, they inspire so much excitement, but then this guy just keeps on keeping on. MVP 2 years running now. I mean, the numbers are sickening. He'll even occasionally get you a couple rushing yards. I don't know. I don't know why. Maybe it's just because people don't like him because of his vaccine stance and his long hair and his endless girlfriends, and he hates his family. Maybe people don't like him because of all that stuff.
Honestly, it sounds stupid, but you're probably right. And I bet that has something to do. When your own brother gets on the Bachelor or Bachelorette, whatever it was, it's we don't really like him. We don't invite him to Thanksgiving. It's maybe this guy sucks.
Yeah.
But not in fantasy. He's great.
No, because none of that stuff matters. There's no negative points for 15 called off engagements, non-vaccinations, and long hair. I saw today this thing he's taking these hallucinogens at some camp in Belize or somewhere in Central America, but it turns out it's not on the banned substance. He says he's a changed man.
Did you hear about the experience?
Not really, no.
Apparently, when you do this, you throw up on yourself and you crap your pants, and it's awesome.
And that's enlightening.
That's
more power to him.
That doesn't sound enlightening to me. But hey, if that gets him NFL MVPs in back-to-back years, good for you, dude.
He's a monster. Let's move on.
Yo, dude, and you're going to get real excited about this. Kirk Cousins, buddy.
He's dreamy.
He is
dreamy.
Guys. Dude, you and I have said for years how undervalued Cousins is. He puts up some pretty good numbers, man.
It's really only one reason. And I don't care what anyone says. We could call it controversial or whatever. If he didn't wear his Christianity on his sleeve, people would love him. But since he does, everybody scoffs. I don't really care what religion you are. If you get me fantasy points, you can be a Satanist. I just want the damn points.
The one thing that he doesn't have going for him is he kind of has anchors for feet. For feet. He has anchors for feet.
Yeah, he doesn't get
both
running
feet
points now.
But since he became the starter in 2015 with the then Redskins, he was QB 8, 5, and 6. He went to Minnesota 11, 15, 11, and last year he was 11. He had 33 passing touchdowns last year, only 7 interceptions. And over the last 3 years, he's 94 and 26. That's not Aaron Rodgers' numbers, but it's not that far off. Kevin O'Connell, the new coach, has already said he wants to open this offense up. He wants to throw up more. And dude, with Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen, they got Irv Smith at tight end as soon as he gets healthy. Plus, Dalvin Cook can catch passes.
KJ Osborne's a badass number 3.
Yes, this is a recipe to get Cousins, not just in the top 10, but this is a recipe to get him back in the top 5, which is a place he's already been.
So you may remember at the end of the season, I sent you a little thing. Player A, Kirk Cousins, his 7 years as a starter. Player B, this other guy, his 7 best seasons ever. And we looked at the stats.
The problem was I knew exactly who it was.
Almost every single meaningful category, almost all of them. Kirk Cousins vilified. He has to fight for his job every offseason. The other one, Matt Stafford, the greatest quarterback who ever lived because he lucked into a Super Bowl.
Here we go.
But Cousins blows him out of the water in every meaningful statistic, except one Super Bowl win.
But, dude, I hear you.
It's just frustrating because people just pick and choose who they're going to like. But when it comes to fantasy, I don't give 2 craps. I just want points.
I have Cousins at 12. He's right behind Aaron Rodgers for me.
Yeah. I mean, I guess that's where he should be. I don't know. He's going 14th now, 107. That's end of the 9th round.
It's a steal for the guy who's probably going to start for you.
Yeah, it's
Can you imagine?
I get worked up when we talk about Kirk.
Can you imagine streaming quarterbacks and Kirk Cousins is on your waiver wire?
Yeah, I mean, any given week, the guy might throw up 4 TDs and 330 yards.
Yeah.
And now that they're going to throw even more, I mean, they've straight out said it. It's not like this is maybe the coach, the whole staff has said that every player at camp said, yeah, this offense is just going to light it up. This is just wide open now. It's like freaking Kurt Warner Rams.
Hammer down, buddy.
It'll be fun.
All right. David Montgomery, last year's RB21. He missed 4 games. He was RB17 in points per game. He was running back 25 as a rookie, running back 4 in 2020. He's not efficient. That's not really his game. He's a compiler. He rarely leaves the field, which is exactly what you want in a fantasy running back. He was 2nd in snap share, 9th in carries, 5th in red zone touches. Those things are important. And he does rely on his pass game chops. He was 9th in route participation. He has over 50 targets 2 years in a row. He was 42nd in yards created per touch. He was only 3.8 yards a carry. Again, he's not efficient. He's not going to do a whole lot for you as far, if he only got 10 carries a game, he's not Tony Pollard, which we talked about, right? He's not going to look good out there. He's just going to make it happen.
Yeah.
The only thing I worry about is Khalil Herbert, because when he played last year, he looked awesome. And in the 4 games that Montgomery was out, Khalil Herbert had rushing totals of 75, 97, 172, and he averaged almost 4.5 yards a carry. We got a new regime in Chicago. Are they going to just hammer David Montgomery into the ground, which is what we want? Or are they going to start getting Khalil Herbert in there more touches?
My bigger worry is not that. It's that how many designed runs for Justin Fields, how much will he start eating into those carries inside the 5? Mm-hmm. And he's an awful passer, which means stacked boxes. He has literally almost everything going against him other than the fact that he's the best playmaker on their team. Everything else is a negative for him to that he's going to just go nothing but down.
Yeah.
But he'll still throw in a really strong game here and there because he's a good player.
I would like to look at Justin Fields' targets to running backs in college. I know that wasn't a big part of Ohio State's game. They didn't have to do that with the ridiculous wide receivers that they had. But I would like to see it. As far as Montgomery going against stacked fronts, he was 33rd in percentage of stacked front rates, which that seems kind of weird to me why the teams would not stack the box against him, but it only happened 11% of the time for him. So that doesn't make sense to me. And if I'm a defensive coordinator this year, I'm stacking that box
constantly. But we better move on here. We got to keep this show rolling.
It's good. Well, and we're saying that because we started a little after 9, and this place is going to kick me out at 10. So we really got to work on getting this.
Yeah, we got 15 minutes here.
It's all good, man. It's all good. We'll get it. DeAndre Swift, he was RB19 last year, RB13 in points per game because he missed some time. And I'm pretty sure he was RB7 before getting hurt in week 11. 7. 8 of his 10 fullish games. I say that because he going out, he had double-digit carries. Also in those 10 games, he had 5 or 6 catches or more in a lot of those games he was out there. The Lions were only 21st in rushing attempts, but again, Swift makes his living catching the ball. Jared Goff loves checking down. He was 4th in running back targets while still missing basically 5 games. And when they brought him back, they used him sparingly. He was 1st in yards created per touch, and 4 weeks he was a top 5 back.
Yeah, he's going number 9 running back right now, 15th overall. He's a good player. You trust him a lot more than I do. I want to, and I'm coming along more and more, like I told you earlier, with the Lions here, all their skill players. So he might have a strong year. Like I said, this offense could blow up.
I like him in the back end of the first.
I'd like him to be on the field more often, though. Misses way too many games.
Yeah, I hear
For me to take him in the first round, I mean, I need a guy that this is his 3rd season, right?
This will be his 3rd.
Yeah, he missed like 6 games in year 1, 5 games last year. I mean, misses too much time for a first round pick. And I know that's a huge thing. You always tell me that you don't like taking the guy in the first round that's never even come close to playing a full season.
I like to limit the risk.
Right, and that's a lot of risk, don't you think?
As long as he can get me 17 game season. Give me 14 games where you're getting 6 to 10 targets a game. He's going to make up for that because I can find a fill in for the couple weeks that he's going to be out.
Okay.
I don't love it. Don't get me wrong. I don't love it. But if I'm picking, if he's getting to me at 10, 11, 12, I can deal with that.
It's tough in my league with 16 teams to have a running back that you can't trust to be on the field every week.
Sure.
As a matter of fact, not just you can't trust, but you can trust that he definitely won't be on the field every week because you just get so freaking handcuffed. It's just impossible with a guy that you just spent $60 on that plays 12 games, 11 games. You're just dead duck.
Well, another guy that misses games basically every year is Aaron Jones. He's going as RB12 right now. 2 years ago, he was RB5. 3 years ago, he was the 2nd running back in all of fantasy. He has over 60 targets 3 years in a row, and I think that should go up. We said this before. A lot of times, vacated targets on a team like Devontae Adams is gone. A lot of times, vacated targets go to the running backs. And I feel that we forget that he has 2 top 5 fantasy finishes. I think he's a little underrated. Now, A.J. Dillon obviously puts a dent in his ceiling, but if his 52 catches and 6 receiving touchdowns increase, watch out, dude, because just like rushing stats are the key to quarterback production in fantasy, receiving stats are the key to fantasy production in running backs. I mean, look at, Aaron Jones and Austin Eckler, Christian McCaffrey. That's how they make a living.
Yep.
He was ninth in red zone touches. He was 11th in yards a touch. He was 9th in yards created per touch. This guy's got some moves. He's got some wiggle. And if I'm Aaron Rodgers, he notoriously only trusts guys that he's been with for a while. Aaron Jones has been there for a while, right? That's his guy. He knows where Aaron Jones is going to be. Dude, I kind of like him a lot. I heard a stat on Sirius XM Fantasy Radio. It gave stats for Jones during each game that Devontae Adams missed, and the stats were ridiculous. It was like he averaged like 35 points a game when Devontae Adams was out. It was something unheard of.
Yeah. I had him and Dylan in my league of record last year, and it was just so frustrating. There were
Start 'em
weeks
both.
actually, there were weeks because of injuries and buys and things where I played them both. One of the weeks was awesome. And I think they both like had 2 touchdowns, but Jones is just so hit or miss. I was really hoping he'd leave and AJ Dillon would just be the clear-cut starter, and I have a starting running back on a high-scoring team for $4. It would have been wonderful because I have him under contract for 5 years. Jones, I would
Smart.
have to franchise, and that's how I'm franchising Justin Jefferson. Yeah, I love the guy. He can play, but man, it just inexplicably sometimes he'll just throw out the biggest freaking duds. It can be so frustrating. But overall, yeah, he's a great guy. He's a playmaker. He's amazing. Anybody should be happy to have him on their team.
Well, even Dylan's currently RB26. He had almost 200 carries last year, 800 yards and 5
So I'm
touchdowns.
saying I had weeks where I played them both in a 16-team league.
Yeah.
That's a starter. You're the 26th ranked player. There's 32 starters that you're a starter.
I don't know why he didn't play him every week. He ended up being like RB20.
Couldn't, because early in
or
the
something
season
last
he
year.
wasn't playing enough, and I had other people. And plus, my league is actually I don't have to start him. It's a 1 running back, 2 wide receiver, 2 flex. So I could play 1 running back, 4 wide receivers.
Well, this may have been the year to do that. So you still have him. I don't know if you still have Jones, but
I don't, because I can only franchise 1 player, and that's going to be Justin Jefferson.
Because there's precedent, right? We already know that, Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, as recently as 2020, they were both top 10 running backs.
Yep.
And if you told me at the end of the year Jones and Dillon were both top 10 running backs, I'm not going to put money on it, but I would believe you.
Yeah, it's not.
It's not that far fetched.
No, it's not. It just happened. What, 2 years ago, 3 years ago? Yeah.
Right. AJ. So I just said, what did I say? Aaron Jones was 9th in red zone touches. AJ Dillon was 12th in red zone touches, not percentage, total touches.
Yeah.
Both of these guys get the ball in the red zone, man. And look, Adams is gone. I know we've said it 100 times, but he's gone. Who are they going to go to in the red zone? Why not your 2 running backs who you already have done it with?
No, I can't argue that. Like I said, I played them both frequently. And not because I had to either, because I wanted to.
He's good, man. And honestly, I wasn't big on Dillon coming out of college, but
I was, man. I got him a $2 contract for 5 years. Glorious. I'm just waiting for Jones to go, but he decided to sign that contract. Really, I remember texting you that day. I was terribly agitated.
Dalvin Cook, not someone we need to argue over, because, dude, over the last 3 years, he's been RB5, RB3, and he was RB15 last year.
He's going to go up again.
Right. He had a huge touchdown drop off. Yep. He scored 6 rushing touchdowns last year. He had 13 and 16 the previous 2 seasons, dude. He still averaged almost 5 yards carries, 4.7. He's actually going to regress back towards the mean. So he is going to have positive regression, your favorite little thing there, right?
So stupid.
His health is the deal. No matter what, if you take Dalvin Cook, you're going to have to reach for Alexander Mattison to lock down that running back position, because it's so valuable. The Minnesota Vikings, you need to have the running back, and they only have one. It's either Cook or it's Madison, depending on health. So
you can make the argument he's the number 1 true, him or Pollard, the number 1 and 2 true handcuffs, because Hunt's not a handcuff. Hunt's his own thing. AJ Dillon, his own thing. Melvin Gordon, his own thing. This dude, he there's nowhere he can go but up unless he gets hurt. I mean, all you had to do is look at, like, say, a once and done last year. Dalvin Cook gets hurt. Almost every single person in the league plays Alexander Mattison the very next week.
Yeah.
Because he's a true plug and play number 2.
He is. And I have some sad news.
What a luxury to have him as your number 2 running back.
And I have some sad news. I actually had to take Dalvin Cook, and I moved him to my running back 3 spot, which was where your boy Joe Mixon lived. And Mixon is now my RB4.
No, that's your foolishness.
Well, and honestly, you might be right.
Well, the thing is, Mixon will never be on any of my teams because he's a Bengal, so it doesn't even matter really to me all that much.
Oh, here we go.
I paid the price for violating the laws of the fantasy gods. What a fool.
You did.
What a fool.
You wouldn't have
God,
violated any laws if you didn't make them in the first place.
I violated the laws and the fantasy gods punished me, sir. Punished me.
You came out on your own and was like, I'll never draft a Bengal. And then you draft the Bengal and it doesn't
And
work
then
out.
it
That's
blew
your
up in
own
my
fault.
face.
It's your own fault.
Destroyed me. Destroyed me. I told you it was going to happen. I'm a soothsayer, a prophet. It happened. Ruined my season. I still came in second, but still ruined my season.
You're a moron.
No, the Bengals are morons.
Yeah, the AFC champs played
You know
the
what
Super
I
Bowl.
should do just to help the Ravens? I should just draft nothing but Bengals
Yeah.
because they'll all be
There you
hurt by
go.
week 3 and we'll play the rest of the season.
There you go. Do it. Do it. I dare you. Oh, all right. Let's move on to the pass catchers. We'll go to Chicago. Darnell Mooney in 140
End of
targets last
story.
year. Oh, yeah, dude, over 1,000 yards. It sounds good, but dude, he was only wide receiver 25. He was wide receiver 33 points per game, 58% catch rate. Not my favorite. He had 13 games of 5 catches or less. 13. He had 8 games of 50 yards receiving or less. Dude, 5 catches is really just middle of the road. He was 62nd in yards a target, 69th in fantasy points per target. He was 7th in target separation, which I love, but he doesn't have a quarterback that can get him the ball. On games where Andy Dalton played most of the snaps, Mooney had 7.5 points, 23, 17, 7, 20, and almost 25. He had one 20-point game with Fields, but also he had 4 games in single digits with Justin Fields running the show. He's currently wide receiver 32, man, but I see him going to mid-20s on some sites. I got him at 41, buddy.
Well, that's your foolishness. Anything I've read coming out of Chicago says he is just going to be a straight target monster. There's nobody else to throw to except our boy Velus Jones, who you adore so very much. So
he's 80 years old. Juju Smith-Schuster is like 2 months older than Velus Jones. Think about that.
Isn't he what 25? But he's going to start. He's going to play. I know you were big on him coming out of school. So Mooney's just going to get throw after throw. If only 1 out of every 3 throws is catchable, he still might have 10 catches a game. There's nobody else to throw to. Now, N'Keal Harry, he's out. So, yeah, who else are they going to throw to?
Cole Kmet. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm sure he'll.
Cole Kmet, again, just a late round tight end. If you punt the position, he's as good as anybody in that, tight end 13 to 25 range, whatever it is. But I will tell you,
let's move on to a real receiving crew. How's that?
Yes,
Amon-Ra
St.
crew,
Brown, buddy.
My boy,
St. Brown,
my boy,
wide receiver 22 last year, 90 catches, 912 yards, and 5 touchdowns as a rookie. And honestly, that feels like his floor to me. He built a very strong rapport with Jared Goff by the end of the year. He was gangbusters from weeks 12 to 17.
Number 2 wide receiver for the last 6 weeks of the year.
He had at least 8 catches and 10 targets in each game.
Dude, he made them count.
Dude, he was 28th in routes run. He was 13th in the league in catches. Dude, when he's on the field, he is getting the ball, and he showed enough last year. I don't know how he can't be Jared Goff's go-to guy. He was wide receiver 6, 27, 6, 6, 2, and 10. Dude, I am so high on him right now.
I mean, why do I talk to you? Why do we do this? Because just weeks ago, when I put him in my top 5, you did nothing but tear him up, rip him down, how stupid it was. Now, all of a sudden, you love him, and you're so high on him. So, who are you? Why do I talk football with you?
Okay. You said he was top 5 for you. He's my wide receiver 22. So, it's a little different.
Yeah, but when you say 22 and then the way you just described it, geez, Peach, what about the 21? You want to have children with number 19? And yeah, exactly. Yeah. See, you are just an odd character.
Kevin, I can really enjoy someone at their ADP or a little before without making him the best receiver in the league.
Well, I don't think he's the best receiver in the league. And I don't know if he'll really become number 5. But we both put in one player in that because we wanted to shake things up a little bit. He was mine. Mike Williams was yours. but I still think he's going to be awesome. But I just don't remember you having such love for him earlier. But the dude can play. He's fun to watch. He's another one of those ones, every time he touches the ball, he might score. A lot
And if you
better
want
than
to
his
take
brother.
if you want to, yeah, Equanimous St. Brown, who's
Yeah.
for the Bears. We just passed. We didn't even
Yeah.
talk about him.
He just keeps running. 'Cause
And,
he used to be with the Packers. He just keep running around through the
yeah.
NFC North.
And if you want to throw a dart at someone late, DJ Chark, Jamison Williams, why not?
Yeah.
We're liking this Lions team, so do it.
However,
However,
will probably be like the
yeah,
number 6 tight end, maybe
well,
7.
he was tight end 7 last year in points per game. Missing some time, but he was tight end 4 2
going
years ago.
6 now.
What's that?
He's going 6 in tight end,
Gotcha.
62nd overall, ahead of Schultz, Goddard, Knox, Ertz, right after Waller.
Even when he was tight end 4 2 years ago, he had more catches and yards a game this past season than when he was tight end 4. So he was on pace. If he would have missed any time, he was on pace to have a really, really nice year, man. He's good. He was number 1 in contested catch rate for tight ends.
Yeah, he can play.
Oh yeah, he's great. The Packers pass catchers, dude. I don't know. I'm not too pumped about any of them. Alan Lazard, he's huge. He's 6'5", he's 230, right? He was last year's wide receiver 46, and everyone's like, Alan Lazard, Alan Lazard, Alan Lazard. He's currently going as wide receiver 44. I mean, they think he's going to do what he did last. Everyone hated him last year. He was nothing last year, but his current ADP is basically where he was. 40 catches, 513 yards, and 8 touchdowns is what he did last year. Basically, everyone thinks he's going to do the same this year, according to ADP, but there's some yokels out there just going nuts over him.
Wait, you using my yokels now?
I don't know, Kevin. It comes out. I just open my mouth and things fall out. I'm not sure what it's going to be.
I feel like Costanza now, and you're Seinfeld. You're stealing my babies now, stealing my yokels.
And you want to be my latex salesman.
Well played. Yeah, I don't trust any of these guys. He's notorious for not throwing to rookie wide receivers, so Watson needs to get a year under his belt and might blow up next year. Other than that, there's not a single guy on here that I want to touch except for maybe $2.
But here's the deal, dude. Alan Lazard's wide receiver 44. That's a little steep for me. If I have 3 gambles and I want him to be on wide receiver 4, I might do it. Wide receiver 5. Sammy Watkins is going as wide receiver 71. Christian Watson is 56. Romeo Doubs, who's looking great in camp, he's wide receiver 106. That's probably going to go up. But, dude, Lazard was 80th in yards per route run, 47th in yards a catch, 38th in target separation. I just can't do it. I can't do it. Robert Tonyan, no thanks. I'm out on him. You any interest in Tonyan for you?
0.
Yeah. Okay, good. Justin Jefferson, dude. This is our last group here, and I could not. He's my wide receiver 1. I can't love this guy enough. He was wide receiver 6 as a rookie, wide receiver 4 last year. I mean, he has all the receiving records for a player in their first 2 years. He was 3rd in target share, 1st in air yards, 8th in red zone targets. Dude, I don't know.
And what 2 geniuses called this 2 summers ago?
Ding, ding. That's right,
yes,
sir. That's right, sir. How high would you draft him?
Middle, depending on the league, middle of the first round.
So
I really think he's going to blow up in this offense even more so.
It's hard not to think that, right?
Yeah, I really do. Thielen, I read that thing yesterday, how they're already saying they're designing very specific plays for him in the red zone. Like he needed more plays in the red zone.
He does.
Osborne, man, he was good. I played him that weekend and once and done where he had like an 80-yard touchdown. Irv Smith's coming back.
I called you on that one. Like physically called. I didn't even text you.
Yeah.
I called you. It was like, great play, dude.
Thank you. Yeah, JJ, I'm gonna in my really good record, you can only franchise 1 player per year. You either have to pay them the average of the top 5 salaries of that position, just like the NFL, or give them a 20% increase in pay, whichever is highest. In this case, that number is the exact same, $58. No brainer, because he'll go for 68
Easy.
or 70 if I throw him out there. So it's a lot of money, but I'm getting a steal.
And the only receiver we have a question with is Adam Thielen. He missed 4 games. He was still wide receiver 29. He was wide receiver 7. I know, wide receiver 17 in points per game. He's got 2 seasons under his belt with over 1,200 receiving yards, 2 seasons with double-digit touchdowns. He was wide receiver 8 in 2020. He's going as wide receiver 30 right now. In his first 11 games, Thielen was averaging almost 6 catches a game and 62 yards a game, and all 10 of his touchdowns. Dude, that is some serious numbers to put up.
Yeah. So I've been thinking regression all the time with the touchdowns. He is a little more touchdown dependent than he used to be. But then when they come out and say straight up, yeah, we're designing all kinds of plays for the guy in the red zone. Like I said, he already has a million plays in the red zone. When they tell you that, it's just like, okay, well, maybe there's not going to be. Obviously, they're going to press the issue and have him scoring.
He is definitely more of a floor player than a ceiling player. I'm not going to get really excited about having Thielen on my team, but I'll be honest, if I'm rolling him out in my flex or my wide receiver 3 spot, I'm okay with that.
I'm excited depending on where I get him.
That's true. Okay, I'll buy that.
Where's he going here?
30, wide receiver 30.
Yeah, 30, 72nd hour. So that's like the last pick of the 6th round. I mean, if I can get him there, I'm freaking excited as all hell.
I hear
the
you.
guy that potentially could throw up number 1, number 2 receiver stats, depending, getting him as in the 6th round. That's how you win championships, baby.
Not going to argue with you there. And then tight end Irv Smith. He was a darling, but he's hurt now, so who knows if he'll even be ready for week 1. Stream him.
I like, yeah, but he's one of those guys, man. I'd love to have him as my backup just in case he blows up just a little bit. He's one of those dart throws that I'd really like to hit on that. Like, man, the upside there could be nice, but then again, he might do nothing.
Anything else for you, sir?
I think I'm pretty good. I know there's some things we were thinking about, but it's 10:05, so
let's roll, dude.
Yeah.
We'll get to it next week. No big thing, or we'll post it on the on Twitter or on Facebook. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Our tunes are by Flatline. Check us out on Spotify, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter at GYBR_podcast. Again, that's at GYBR_podcast. I'm Ron Burgundy.
So you see it now, don't you?
Evan put a little nasty note for me in the show notes. He actually looked at it this time.
I did it just tonight, right before the show, because I was afraid you'd see it. So that was what I was alluding to at the beginning of the show, of course.
Get us out of here, sir.
Okay. We'll see y'all next week.
See ya.